Hey everybody, welcome to Dying Laughing with Jessimae. I am your host. I'm here after a couple weeks and a new loss, my own loss. This episode is going to be about what I learned about planning my dog's last day on earth and also planning his departure from his earthly body into his heavenly, eternal one, and sort of what to expect, things to consider, and ways to make that day easier and somewhat enjoyable for you. Before we get into that, one of my dear friends sent me a message. And before we get into that, come see me live. Let me tell you where I'm going to be. I do stand up as well, JessimaePelusoComedy for all tickets. A portion of those ticket sales and any merch you buy go towards two charities, Hilarity for Charity, which I am an ambassador for, and also the Alzheimer's Association of SoCal. So by supporting me, you're supporting those amazing causes. So thank you ahead of time. Come see me live. I'll be in Des Moines, Iowa. I will be in La Jolla, California, Austin, Texas, and Endicott, New York, and also just outside of Des Moines as well. JessimaePelusoComedy for tickets. Come see me live. And if you want to call into the pod, do that, 513-916-0930. You can also email us, JessimaePelusoComedy@gmail.com. Sometimes I ask questions at the end of the episode to start a conversation surrounding loss and grief to get us going and to connect on a very relatable topic like loss. Everyone loses something. It's a bummer. So speaking of that, a message from my dear friend came, I think, a day or two after I had decided to put Carlin down. And the message was sending you love and hugs this morning. Can't imagine what it was like to wake up without Carlin today. Yeah, it was the day after I ended up putting Carlin down. He said, sending love and hugs this morning. Can't imagine what it was like to wake up without Carlin today. To go for a walk without Carlin today. Call if you need to talk. And without making this too indulgent of an episode all about me, but essentially I am filtering my experience of all types of loss through my own personal experiences of it and hopefully making whoever's out there listening feel better about whatever type of loss they're going through. So my response to that, I wanted to read because it made me think that somebody else might feel this way. And it was something that was maybe making someone feel better about feeling this way. I said, good morning. I definitely feel the denial a little bit, but then I had this thought about loss and even just the word loss and losing Carlin. I had this realization that I didn't lose him. He did pass away, but that was such a small portion of my experience with him. And that life and its infantile compared to what we have and what we shared, that's just true for people. I don't know. It's hard because I voice to text that because that sentence didn't make any sense. I think basically what I was saying there was that my experience with him in his life is so much larger than the loss of him. And I said it really opened me up and made me have this epiphany like, oh my gosh, I didn't lose this dog. I had this dog for 5 or 6 years longer than his life expectancy according to his breed. He was relatively healthy until the end in only the last few months and wasn't completely decrepit. I love that word, decrepit. I don't love it pertaining to talking about my dying pit bull or my dead pit bull. I do love calling a person decrepit. I think it's a real good cut. Like, what'd you say to me? You're decrepit. Anywho, I didn't want him to get to that point. I wasn't going to be one of those people who's willing to push their dog around the fucking neighborhood in one of those wheelie things. Nothing against people who keep their dog in the wheelie things. I get it. It's hard to let go. But who are we holding on to and why are we holding on to them? It's nothing against them, but who is this really for? Last time I checked, your dog wasn't born to be a tricycle, but a dog. But that's just between you and God. You know, I had this dog and I just had this beautiful thought that I didn't lose anything. Yes, I lost him yesterday, but I had him for 16 years. And I woke up today so grateful and taking a different look at loss. It's so beautiful each time we go through something like this. And as a human, where someone dies or a pet dies, we experience that level of grief. And there's so much to be learned in that emotional experience. And the other thing I'll say was I wasn't able to be home for either of my parents when they passed. And that's always and has always weighed heavy on my heart because of my life choices. They have kept me far away from my family for so long and not being able to hold either of those people who first held me when I came into this world felt wrong. And by holding Carlin, I was able to get some of that back. I was able to feel some of that, even if it's a little different, even if it's not exactly the same, but I was able to put myself in a place where I forgave myself. And I felt grateful I was able to hold my dog as he passed on over that rainbow bridge. So those are my thoughts this morning. And thank you so much. I feel peace right now. There's sadness, but I feel peace in my heart. So that to me was one of the most profound experiences I had with Carlin. And I'll talk about that in this episode because I got so many messages from you guys. Tons of DMs and voice notes and pictures of your dogs and stories about how your dogs changed your life and where you found your dog. And that's what I want the question for this episode to be. If you can email me or even call me or text me, the number and the email, again, were at the beginning of the episode. So just jot that down. I want to know about your dog. How has your dog changed your life? What's a funny story about a dog you had or a dog that felt like your soul dog? Email us or call us. And I guess the question that I got the most about Carlin, besides, how can you do that? You're a murderer. Which is basically, that's the deal you get when you get a dog. The moment you get a dog, it's so cute and loving. And you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. But also in the back of your mind, you're like, one day I'm going to have to murder you. I don't want to. One day you're going to die. Like one day way too soon. So soon. I don't want to have to say goodbye to you. One day too soon, I'm going to look in those puppy dog eyes and have to say goodbye, but I'm still going to have to look at Carl, who feels me up or says inappropriate things to me. How come creepy uncles live for 75 years, but pit bulls only live for 11? It's not fair. We got to change that. The math isn't mathing. I feel like the most common question I got from everybody was, how did I know it was time? And I even asked that. I asked that of my assistant. I asked it of my sister. And I think it really depends on your own personality, what that answer is. But pretty much, you know when you know. There is something metaphysical. There's a metaphysical connection that I think more often than not, more women have more deeply than men with their body and knowing and having a knowing of when it's time. I think I went a little beyond the time, if I'm being honest. But I do think the timing was right. The morning of Carlin's last day, he was most unlike himself. He was the most unlike himself that I had ever seen him. He wasn't filled with energy. You know when dogs have that like spark? He didn't have that like spark inside of him. He didn't have the like, where's the meats and cheeses wag? He didn't have this zest that he normally had. And I knew then when I woke up, this is right. Even though in the back of my mind, I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Should be illegal. It should be illegal. It should absolutely be illegal. But I honestly think in the back of my mind, because I couldn't be there for either of my parents physically when they passed away, it was so much more important for me to be there for my dog. And in a way, I was able to exercise those feelings of regret and guilt through this entire experience. And that's why I essentially chose to be intentional about putting him down, about getting him euthanized and not having to rush to the hospital in a fit of complete regret and anxiety and sadness because he's sick or something has happened where he has to go down. So I just knew it was time because throughout the trip I took from LA to New York, he just didn't have that zest for life like he normally had. And he also, when I would get back in the car with snacks, was not exactly jazzed. If your dog isn't excited about cheese, meat, any sort of juiciness, that's for sure time. And I think that it was just right, even if beyond a little where it could have been. He was limping and having some pain and he was on pain medication. And it's another thing, it's very hard for your dog to communicate their pain levels and their discomfort. And I feel like dogs, people say we don't deserve them. I don't agree with that. I think we do deserve dogs. Maybe not everybody, but there's something so honorable and heartbreaking about an animal that doesn't want to show you that they're in pain. Because I do feel like they are our protectors. I feel like dogs are our angels on earth. And It can be hard to tell when it's time, but just trust your gut. And another question I got from everybody was to do it at home or in the hospital. And this is a question I asked a lot of my people. Like, should I put him down at home or put him down in the hospital? What are the pros and cons? And, I think the only con about doing it at home is it's a little bit more expensive. I think everything else is a pro. I think you can set up the environment for them nicely. Whatever your dog wants. You can lay him on a bed of cheese. Lay him on a pile of salami and soprazat. You could really put your dog out. He might look like the Thanksgiving table centerpiece, but that honestly would probably be a dog's dream. You can be really purposeful about how the situation is at home. And the other thing I enjoyed, and I will add the veterinarian's link at the end of the episode, remind me to do that, Deb, to you guys so you can contact her if anybody's in Los Angeles, California, because she was really amazing. Ask the vet a bunch of questions beforehand. There were things I wish I would have asked, but I was too caught up emotionally. The time frame for me is an important thing. Like, she gave us time. She gave us probably over an hour. Can you imagine she's like rushing, like, all right, well, I got to go kill another dog. Can we speed up this death process? She was very patient and I didn't feel rushed whatsoever. So I think to do it at home, you have so much more of a benefit if you can take an extra shift or work a little bit harder and save a little extra money to pay for it. It really has benefits beyond anything that I expected. Having a little bit extra time and the comfort and be able to create a place, really a death altar for him to pass away on felt so special to me. Again, listening to this, you might think it's crazy. It's too much for a dog. You're not my person. If you say that, you're not my person. Also, I feel like I did more for him in this particular situation so that I could feel a connection to my parents and my parents passing and not being able to be there. So depending on what your situation is in your life, this could be a really sacred experience, and it felt like that. A lot of people asked me what to do beforehand. What do you prepare? How do you prepare? What do you do? And for me, I thought of all the things that I couldn't give him in life, and I wanted to give him more on his last day. Things I wish him and I had done more. And the things he can't eat. I mean, the list of food that he got on that day, on the evening before, he got In-N-Out burger. He got 3 burgers. I gave him 2. One was for me, but I couldn't not feed him that. I felt terrible. Like my dog's last day on earth, and I'm also having a cheeseburger. I was like, I'm going to give you the cheeseburger. Even though In-N-Out is not the best cheeseburger. Even though In-N-Out is not my favorite in California. And even though that causes a big uproar on social media, I felt like he deserved In-N-Out burger. He got French fries. That day he had car rides, treats from the places that we drove to. I took him to all of his favorite places and places where we would go together. So if you have time to schedule this and wanting to know what to do beforehand, take him to all of his or her favorite places. I don't know how your dog identifies. I don't know if you've had a gender reveal, but take them to In-N-Out burger. Take them to their favorite drive-thru. Also set up friends to come see them. Their favorite people. Bring them to all the places that you guys shared together and really shower them with love. The night before I did that with Carlin, and then that day I had a couple friends come over. My neighbor came over. Deb was here, and he got tons of food. My friend Alexa brought basically a charcuterie board for my dog. Meats and cheeses. My neighbor Jude baked him a cake. And we also had a bunch of cheese that he had in the morning. And the cake was a chocolate cake, I should say. It was a chocolate cake that, honestly, I'm surprised he didn't devour. But again, that last day, he was not completely like himself. And I'll get into everything we did, but something really interesting happened where it's important, I think, to stay open to the universe. I think the universe talks to us, as woo-woo as that sounds. I know we all see and feel and hear signs in life and wonder if it's a coincidence, but can't help to think about the utter likeliness that it could be something more than a coincidence. And this happened on the last day I had with Carlin when I brought him to the beach. I have this chat with all of my Hoffman grad friends. I went to the Hoffman Institute. We haven't had an episode about that yet, but we will. And it was a life-changing experience, and all these people are very special, and we often drop into our chat important events or things we need help with to support one another. And I was going to message in the chat about this whole experience I had and wanting to share about how important it felt to be able to be intentional about putting my dog down. And I stopped because then I wanted to go DM one of my specific grad family members, Winnie, because I knew he was a dog dad and I wanted to message him directly. And then I just stopped and I didn't send anything right away. And then in our group chat, Winnie sent a message about his dog and a question he had because he didn't know what to do about losing his dog. He didn't know what to do about this question in his mind. Is it time? Is it time to put my baby down too? And I thought that was so wild that I was about to go and share this last moment of my sunset with my dog. And here's Winnie needing guidance in the same experience I had. So it felt really magical, honestly. I was like, oh, this is so wild. Like, here's someone I know I was about to message about this and they're going through the same thing. So anyways, I say all that to say I'm basically going to start planning a death day for people too, because people couldn't believe how amazing it was. I'm the best at making dogs pass to the other side. There goes Chaplin hacking up on the rug. One down, 2 to go. It's great having a bunch of dogs, is just to have them die all the time. This will be fun. We're going to have 45 episodes between now and when I die of all the different animals I have that I have to pass on the Rainbow Bridge. I had a bunch of fun things happen for him on his last day. And I think I'm going to open a service for people. I'm going to start planning people's last day. So if you want to have a party on your death day, call me up. I can get my neighbor Rob to play guitar. He played guitar for Carlin. We had live music. We had a charcuterie board. We had arts and crafts. I highly recommend arts and crafts. This is a little macabre, but you can do paw prints of your dying dog. I did it posthumously, which felt strange I felt like I was taking a fingerprint of my dog that committed a crime and he didn't survive it. And we're booking him in the system, but I got a little paw print. My friend Alexa brought these, and then also a snout print. Never thought about this. Pushing your dog's nose into the formation to have a little image of their nose. Oh, it all feels kind of weird. Feels strange to like manipulate your dog after they've passed. But I guess in that is some ritualistic aspect to it. Because we also do the same thing to people. Especially in more ancient cultures, there's beautiful rituals and cleansing the body and how they prepared the body for passing away and passing on. So in a way, even though it felt a little strange to do because I had never done it before, there is a ritual aspect to stamping your dog, collecting their fur. I have a little bit of his fur in a vial, and stamping their snouts in these little clay images. You know, it means you were here. It means my dog meant something to me. And it means that there was an era of my life where I spent time with this creature who meant so much to me and changed my life. I mean, this dog saw more states than most humans. He's traveled more than most humans. And there's some positives about being intentional about your dog's death day. I think you don't want to see them completely decline. Although there are those dogs who look happy with the 2 paws walking, and then they're paraplegic, and then they're in wheels. Of course, your dog's gonna be happy, no matter what. He just wants to be with you. She wants to be with you. But do we really? It feels wrong. Maybe I'm being judgy, but wheeling your dog around like some sort of remote control car feels really messed up. Who's this for? So I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else. And your dog, I don't even know, are they like handicapped dogs at that point? I guess they are. They're so freaking cute. It just feels, I guess it's just shocking to see a dog run around the corner like some sort of gladiator chariot. It can shock you. But I think being intentional about how you put your dog down allows them to go with some more dignity. It allows them to at least be close to the dog you knew them as. But not all of us have that luxury. A lot of accidents happen. And sometimes dogs let you know if they want to go or not. They give you the sign if they have more energy and more willpower and more life in them. And so if you have those dogs who don't have front paws and you've created some Terminator scooter, live your life. I'm happy for all of you and happy for your dog. I think we should have a race, like a disabled dog race with all those dogs and scooters. It probably would cause some more injuries, but it still would be very cute. Also, I think you can do things maybe you couldn't do during their life if you're intentional about their death day. Like I said, you're able to plan it out. You're able to give people time to say goodbye. Give yourself time to say goodbye. And have some fun those last few days and be present in life. I think that's a beautiful thing about dogs. They make us so present in life. They're just about the ball. They're just about the snack. They're about whatever is happening right now. And so many of us are caught up in what we have to do and what we have to get done that I think dogs are these amazing reminders of how beautiful it is and how fun it is to be in the moment. My positives about being intentional with Carlin's last day is now I can focus more on the littles, as I call Chaplin and Bunny. My littles, Chippy, the freaking house chicken, and Bunny, the biatch. You know, often I had to do special things for each one of them. I had to like take Chaplin for the day or take Bunny for the day or take Chaplin on a trip or take Bunny on a trip and then bring Carlin on errands. It really was like having a couple small children, having 3 dogs. So now I can focus on the littles and now I won't lose Chippy anymore. I used to lose Chippy all the time. I just lost him a few weeks ago. I left him outside. I have 3 dogs. I had 3 dogs. It was hard to keep track of them. And Chippy would just come bouncing in the house with his tongue hanging out like, well, I'm the forgotten child again. So I think my positives are that I'm able to spend more time with my littles and focus on them, not lose Chaplin. And also I have a little bit more freedom. I did feel this peace after he was gone. That was the other positive for me, I think, because I was intentional about it. And I felt like I gave him a really good sweet ass send off with meats and cheeses and cheeseburgers and sunsets and playtime and a freaking chocolate cake. What more could this dog want besides more time with me? But like I said, you know, time is that one commodity we don't know what we have left of, and we have to spend it wisely. And I'll also say, being able to be intentional, yes, you can do arts and crafts. You can do arts and crafts. You have time to do these things where you can stamp their paws and stamp their snouts. You're able to encapsulate them and eternalize them in your own way. I don't know what happened here. I pushed his snout. I think I just was trying to push him back to life at this point. I have like 7 stamps of his snout and I'm a Virgo, so I was trying to get it perfect. That's the other thing. There's no way to find any perfection in loss. It is the most imperfect experience there is. There's so many gifts and lessons in it, but there's also a lot of flaws in it and you just have to let it flow. Also, accept the gifts from your loved ones. Deb sent me a framed photo of Carlin and also another picture of all my babies. So beautiful. I think that these are great gifts. I think even if you can't buy your friend something to eternalize their dog, like a paw print, that's something they kind of have to do on their own time when it's happening. You can request it of your vet. But I think pictures of the dog is always sweet. I think that's really easy, beautiful way to let someone you know that lost a dog that I'm thinking about you, and your doggie's the cutest thing ever and the most pitiful thing ever. Carlin had the most pitiful face. I also received a candle from Hilarity for Charity. It says solace, which I thought was interesting because essentially that's how I felt. It smells really good. Essentially, that's how I felt after Carlin died, the day after he died. I felt this peace. And there was so much about the experience losing him that it felt like I learned so much more about loss. It felt like I gained this new language of loss in losing my dog, because I did fear that it was going to bring up a lot of this compounded grief. You know, we've spoke about that on this podcast before, about when you go through loss and you lose someone or something, you can feel all of the grieving moments prior to that. If you haven't exercised them or found a way to process them out of your body, they will linger until there's a window that's open. And I think when you go through loss, it's like an open window for all of your previous grief to escape out of. And so in this moment with Carlin, I was able to let go of some loss with my parents and let go of that guilt about not being there for them. And I was able to feel free from that. So I felt a real freedom after losing Carlin. And I felt like I gained this new understanding and, like I said, like this new language with grief and loss that I hadn't had before. I felt peace and I felt solace. And it really took me losing him to realize how much he was suffering. I think I had to be on the other side of that to let him go, to acknowledge that he was in pain. And it's not that I didn't see it. I think it was more that I wasn't accepting it. I didn't want it to happen. And I was hoping he would miraculously heal and live forever like we do with all of our dogs. But I think something we learn is that when we hold on to something so tight, it causes us suffering. And I think Carlin and I were both suffering a little at the end because we were both holding on to each other and didn't want to let go. But now that we have, we're both free. And I have a little bit more space. There's a little bit more capacity in my being for love. And I do feel like I have absorbed his joy. And so much love was sent through me because of him. And it was more than me just letting go of my parents. I think it was me grabbing onto life more after I lost him. So I hope you guys can grab onto life a little bit more now as well. I hope this episode helped you figure out what to do with your dog. I will leave a little note about my veterinarian in the description of this episode. And I hope you guys gain a new language of loss in your own way. Thank you so much for listening. Send this to a friend in need. And I love you, Carlin. You're the goodest boy ever. You're such a good boy.